Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this far. We continue with Good Morning Kenya. We are still using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle ever remains to be at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jain Wambui across all the social media platforms. We'd love to know where you are watching us from this morning, so feel free to check in via those various social handles. So now we move on to the next segment, and speaking of handles, we want to focus on the digital space. Understanding the impact that the digital space has brought, and especially when it comes to the traditional way of doing things. You know, we are living in a time where social media is taking over things that used to be mainstream. We are seeing people setting up businesses on the online platform, on the digital platform. But what impact has the digital platform brought when it comes to the entrepreneurial space? With us in studio this morning, we have Brian Sakwa. He is a digital journalist as well as a podcaster, and also doubles as a voice-over artist. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you, Jan. Good to see you.
Thank you for making time to be with us.
You're one of those people you've been watching on TV for years, and then you finally met them.
Okay,
look at me now. Look at Godo.
When you say those years, you make me look old, bruh.
Relax.
Nonetheless, how can guys find you on social media?
All right, you can chat with me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Is at Brian Sakwa. Brian Sakwa 101 on Twitter. Facebook is at Brian Sakwa. On Instagram is at Uncle Sakwa. And my YouTube channel is at Brian Sakwa Podcast.
Uncle
Check
Sakwa?
Me out. Yes, Uncle Sakwa on Instagram.
All right.
It is my radio name anyways.
Fantastic. Now, we're talking about the digital platform, and it's something that you are well in. But maybe somebody is watching us today and they're wondering, okay, I thought social media and digital media are whole different entities, but is it so, or they're just one and the same thing?
All right, social, digital. I think the definition could be social is basically you're using it to, from the unsocialized.
Yes.
You're using it to reach out to people, chat, interact. But digital media is basically, I'd say, where, like, for example, KBC wants to shut down doing traditional TV. Like we don't want it to run on let's say Signet or whichever line KBC uses. We basically want to focus on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, mainly YouTube, or a website where people can stream KBC and get to watch all the content KBC is producing, as compared to like just being on Signet or DSTV or GoTV. Yeah.
What is considered mainstream?
Literally mainstream, yeah.
All right.
Or traditional media, we call it.
But now looking at digital media, everybody is sort of just jumping into it, and it has caused this disruption in the market. And maybe from what you have seen, you know, just also being part of this group, what disruption has come along with this digital platform that has been made so accessible, even just on the phone?
Yeah, I think it's because it's, like you mentioned, accessible. Anyone can access it at the comfort of their own time. Like, we live in a generation where people are working. People have gone to schools, people have degrees, people have jobs 9 to 5. If I want to catch up with this show, maybe, should I rush home to go and sit down and sit in front of a TV and start watching it? No. I can download the KBC app on my mobile phone and get to watch and catch up with everything that happened from morning till evening. So I think that is one of like the main distinct lines that has brought this disruption, is that it's accessible to anyone at the comfort of their own home and at the comfort of their own time. You could be at work, or you could be in your car driving, heading to work. Shout out to those who have cars. And you're just streaming it on your mobile phone. So you don't have to like stress so much and be like, wacha nifike nyumbani nikae chini ya TV. No, it's accessible just at the comfort of your cell phone. So it's the power of a cell phone / the power of digital media.
All right. And there's always been this age gap divide, because most people associate traditional TV or traditional mainstream media with the older generation versus the younger generation that are seemingly inclining to the digital platforms. Is it also a question of, you know, the age gap that there is, looking at our parents who are the millennials and this Gen Z that are taking over in line with the digital age of disruption?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you on that one, because as compared to like the 90s kids, shout out to the 90s kids. I think for the 90s kids, we came in at an age and dispensation when, you know, the digital media or the digital space was just being born. And our parents were like, you will say TBT, like throwback days when there was no Android phone. It's just a button, you know. Some of the crazy mobile, you should go and check them out, by the way. The mobile cell phones that were being used way back. So I think it's an age thing. You can imagine a child born in 2000 and a person born in 1950. In terms of experience and experiencing different generations, there's a whole different line.
And the level of exposure.
The level of exposure. So like you said, it's an age thing. You can't compare. Literally, you can't. Yeah.
But now they also say that we cannot do away with mainstream media in as much as digital is coming and taking over. It's like saying, yes, we can access the newspaper online, but you can't just get rid of the actual newspaper.
Literally.
Can digital and mainstream media coexist in a way that they both complement each other without needing to phase out one?
Absolutely. I think one can merge. One is the one merging with the other. Traditional media is merging with the digital media.
Yes.
Because you realize this is like the mother of all inventions. Before we had technology, we had this.
Yes.
So like we say, if you want to predict the future, then use the past. We can't just downplay it and delete it and say, we can't use traditional media anymore, because people are still employed, people are still getting jobs there, and it's like the originality of life. So it's just an evolution. It's an evolution process and a creation process, and we are advancing. As time goes by, we are advancing and moving from one generation or dispensation to another. So we can't do away with traditional media.
All right.
But I feel like it's going to fade off. It's going to fade off. I feel like it's going to fade off as time goes by. Like we mentioned, there's some stations which literally shut down TV, and they completely went digital. So no, you can see the disruption it caused. So as compared to people like being used to coming and, you know, sitting down and watching a broadcast, you can still do it.
Because it's the same thing that the pandemic did do to so many people that are used to going to work in an office. You wake up, you have your 8 to 5, you go to the office. But now with the pandemic, it showed literally the whole world that you can work from home and still be as effective. Yeah,
shout out to Zoom. If you're working at a place and you've not used Zoom, please wake up. I don't know what's happening.
So again, coming to the fact that they can both coexist, or we will get to a time where one will have to be phased out completely?
Well, I think it's a wait and see, and it's a process that's taking time. So let's wait and see. But I feel like as we go and we advance, and also technology advances, it's something that might just follow up kidogo to, but not much.
Now, what about businesses?
Okay.
We are living in a time where online shopping has become a reality for so many people, as opposed to back then when it was a sort of luxury for some.
Yeah.
Now, looking at those that are trying to venture onto the digital platform to start their businesses, we call them digital entrepreneurs, compared to somebody who wants to set up a physical shop. What are the pros and cons in this case?
I think it should be like, who are your target customers? If your target customers are people who are millennial-like, or let's say working class people, that means working class people are able to access your products digitally. Like, there's an emergence of digital influencers. Right now, you don't have to like pay an advert on TV to run and be like, hey, my name is Sakwa and I'm advertising my phone. No, you have to get an influencer who has numbers on social media. They can give you a shout out on their Facebook platform or Twitter or Instagram, and you'll be able to get direct clients who will come to you at the comfort of your own space and time. But like I mentioned, it must be in line with the kind of business you're doing. You can't say I'm a mamboga, but I'm sure as time goes by, mamambogas will have an app where they'll be able to sell skuma wiki. Hey, come buy my skuma wiki, come buy omena. So I think it goes in line with the kind of business and the size of business. Yeah.
All right. It's interesting that you mentioned that, but now in this case, those are people that may have maybe an actual product that they're selling. What about in this age of content creation, and somebody wants to set up their business in content creation, but they're not sure as to how they're going to actually generate an income on this digital platform just selling content, and especially for the youth that are trying to venture into this direction?
Well, I think you have to believe in yourself, because every one of us is trying to figure everything out. So if you feel like you want to start making money online, the first thing or the first hack you have to do is just start. Start with what you have. You don't have to have an expensive phone, an iPhone or an expensive camera, because right now it's all about content creation. Everybody wants to watch something interesting online. Nobody wants to listen to a boring person on radio anymore. We want humor. So find a sport that's comfortable for you and professionalize in the sport and start making content about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be TV-like. You can even make content about cooking yams, man. Be interesting, bro. That's what people want to watch, not just official conversations, literally. So be interesting and find a sport that you're comfortable in professionalizing. It will work definitely, eventually. Yeah.
But we're always also seeing the fans, the viewers, also saying the kind of content and the quality of content that you put out there is key to your success or your failure.
Absolutely.
Much as you are able to start shooting with your phone, eventually guys will be like,
the quality is...
Your quality is mbona hauna iPhone, as you're saying, or why don't you have an actual camera? Looking at these pressures that you have to endure when you are diving into this digital space.
Yeah. I think just like any other profession, you have to be very intentional. Even you, before you become a radio TV presenter, there's some things you had to go through. There's some training you had to go through, whether you liked it or not, because you basically want to hit that spot. So also in content creation, you have to sacrifice a lot. If you want the best, then you must sacrifice. Nothing comes out of beauty. Everything has come from pain. So sacrifice for if you want good content, and you know, people are all about watching clear videos.
Yes.
People want visuals that are memorable and interesting to look at. Clear audio. Nobody wants disrupted audio. We want to listen to very clear audio. So it must be, if you're using a mobile phone, at least let it be of quality. But for starters, just start with what you have, by the way. If you're not yet on that level, at least use what you have. Because content creation is one of the, it's like a storm that's taking over the world by storm. And people want to watch quality stuff. You've seen videos that have gone viral. Even musicians who have the best quality videos, they are played almost in every good mainstream station, because your content is your first card, is your tool of trade, basically. It's your identity in terms of now the profession. So quality is like the first items on the list if you want to start it.
Invest
even for TV. Nobody wants to watch a blurry television, by the way. We want clear TV. All
right. So invest in the kind of stuff that you put out there, much as you might not be in that financial place to, you know, get all this good quality gear for your production. You can always start small and build on it.
Absolutely.
And then bullies. On the social platform, they have a field day every day. Keyboard warriors are always out to look at what is not working with what you're putting out there in terms of your content or your product or the service that you're offering. Dealing with bullies is one of the cons that, you know, you have to learn to handle on the social platforms. But we're seeing so many young people in very sad cases even resorting to suicide because of bullying online. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think interesting question. I think that comes to a point of being able to decipher or differentiate feedback. Feedback sometimes comes in form of criticism, and criticism can be positive or negative. So how you take the comments and what people talk or give about your product, sometimes it's a personal place. You know, somebody could criticize your look. So somebody could be watching even this television program and thinking that this host is not even beautiful. How dare you think? How dare you think of that? God forbid. But it should come from a place of like choosing to understand feedback and understanding that people are different. You know, somebody could they could be experiencing or going through a bad day, and they're like, what? So this is what this dude is posting. They throw in some shady comments that might hurt you. So I think you must be prepared to, like I always say this, if you want to be in the mainstream space, be ready to receive feedback. It's like being in the public space. You have no right to regulate what people think about you. So if somebody thinks you're ugly on TV, you have no power to go and tell them, look at me, I'm beautiful and handsome. No, it's them who are thinking like that and respect their opinion, but it is in your place to understand how you're going to break that feedback to yourself. If you let it go to your heart, definitely it's gonna break you.
It's gonna hurt.
But you can brush it off. And for people who get 1,000 comments, you can imagine people being trolled online, and it's detrimental to their mental health, and you end up, you know, committing suicide. So just practice taking feedback, whether it's negative, and remember, people are different. You know, the number of eyeballs that land on your content online, you know, everybody comes from a different background. We have different experiences. Somebody could be watching this and saying, this dude is too dark. No, this is just me. God forbid.
So learn to filter what builds you and what doesn't build you.
Literally.
All right, now let's focusing on content creation. People are looking to go viral. They're looking to trend. They're looking to, you know, once you trend, you get the numbers. And maybe along the way, you could get a
influencers, partnership,
you know, that will help you financially. But understanding that you can't just jump on every trend.
Literally.
Tell us a bit about that.
I think in this day and age, everybody wants attention and everybody wants numbers, and there's that societal pressure that if you have these numbers, you definitely are kicking it in life, or you got it. It's a lie. There's people who have 1 million subscribers and 1 million followers, but they are struggling. So just learn to differentiate that social media and real life, they are two different homes. Real life, we could be here on TV, but we don't have cars. But unfortunately, people think when you're on TV, you have a car. It's a lie, guys. There's real life and there's social media. So social media sometimes can be a fantasy, and don't let it get into your head. So and if you, maybe for those that maybe, I think there's a term, there's this socialite who went viral for twerking. If you're all about getting the attention and you feel like it's gonna give you the leverage that you want, good for you. Good for you, literally.
You're a digital journalist.
Yeah.
That means you also put information out there.
Yeah.
But you also find others that they could be putting this information out there, but they haven't gone the extra mile to fact check and ensure that they're putting out genuine, authentic, and factual information.
Yeah.
How is this a disservice to you as an individual, and maybe someone who's watching us today, when they don't take the time to do their research, to just see something on somebody else's platform, take it and repost it without verifying if it's authentic and factual?
Yeah, I think that's when the issue of fake news comes in, and like you mentioned, fact checking. I believe every journalist who is on radio, television, or whichever platform, you have gone through the ethics and the training of, if this is a news piece I'm broadcasting online, I have verified it. It has gone through the editorial stages. If it's a news piece or an entertainment piece, basically it has been filtered by my editor. And even as a reporter, you've gone on the ground, you have researched, you've come up with statistics, and you're able to even post it online. And maybe if it goes viral, that's a blessing. But I think there's a difference. I feel like there's a very huge difference between just a content creator who came out of nowhere or let's say who started creating content and they went viral, and all of a sudden after they got the numbers, a station poached them and gave them a radio station. I think when it comes to the ethics of journalism, as compared to like a person who has been to a journalism class, there's a very thin line. Because for you, as a TV presenter who has had this training for years, you have gone through the ethics. Even the house style of your station will not allow you to do some certain things. As compared to just an influencer who started on YouTube or somewhere, they definitely do not know the ethos or the ethics of content production, especially if it's objectively targeted to like impact or infiltrate people's minds. So that's the difference, literally.
All right. Now, still focusing on content creators, most of them again are out to entertain.
Literally,
But you find some of these videos and scenarios that they put out may not be as palatable for all the age groups, but looking at the time that they post them, they're accessible even to children. Looking at, you know, the fact that you're also a content creator, maybe what are your thoughts when it comes to the kind of content that is put out there that is not family friendly, but it's still put out there because you are looking to get numbers on the digital platforms?
I think the power lies in the power lies on the other end, or the recipient, receiver, we call it in the line of communication.
But kids can access it.
Yeah, kids can access it. I think if you're a parent back at home, you should be able to have a filter for the content kids access, and that includes even the PG guide. Yeah, I'm sure you're able to note that before any program airs on TV, there's usually a disclaimer: parental guidance is required.
Yes.
But now when it comes to online, it's social media. Everyone can access it, and I think social media is like a free household where anyone can pop in whenever they want. But it goes back to the power of the parent. As a parent, what are some of the guidelines you have, or what are some of the boundaries you have set up for your kids when it comes to accessing a mobile phone? You know, there's those parents who just leave their phones to their kids, and you find children even accessing crazy pornographic sites.
Yes.
And at the same time, it becomes addictive, and it destroys even their mental health and their well-being. So I believe as a parent, or anyone aspiring to be one, ensure that if you're leaving your mobile phone to your kids or any digital gadget, ensure at least you have a filter, or there's mainly some specific programs set for the kids of a certain age, so that your children are not watching adult content, even online on YouTube. There's those features even on smart TVs right now. So it's the power lies back to the recipient, that is the parent.
And what about the responsibility of the content creator? When I know what I'm putting out there, this is for 18 and over or 30 and over.
Yeah.
What should I also go the extra mile of putting a disclaimer before this video I put out?
Exactly. I'm sure you've read some certain, especially I follow a lot of USA YouTubers and content creators. In most of their criticism, even entertainment shows, they usually give a disclaimer that this content is basically, or contains language that's abusive and disruptive. So it's cool as a content creator to always have a disclaimer or a notice, or just state the target audience. This content is basically set for 18 and above years, so that if a father or mother, or you know, there's content that just a 45-year-old or a 50, or let's say a 70-year-old with a mobile phone should not be watching. It's basically set up for millennials, so
yes.
it can be controversial. Yeah,
all right.
It can be controversial.
Then again, we are in that political era.
Yeah.
You know, there is about 35 days to the general elections, and we are seeing also people publicly declaring their political stance. Now, as a content creator, is this advisable to show the public your political affiliations or your political stance, that also you are merging with the kind of content you're putting out there?
Well,
especially as a young one.
That question is interesting. I think it can be dramatic because right now in our country, I don't know what happens whenever there's an election. It's usually like, you know, temperatures are very high and things are a little bit scary. Even when you look at the economy and everything that's happening in our country, the cheapest, you know, the staple food of this country is ugali. It's like now the most expensive thing. Unga man, unga. The government should do something. But I think as a content creator, you have the responsibility of giving opinion, and shout out to Wajakoya anyways. I think everybody has been talking about Wajakoya for the better part of the day.
Stand and you're here
I'm not declaring. Everybody has been talking about Wajakoya, but I feel like when it comes to political views, you should reserve them for yourself. It can give you a lot of luck, and people might come and attack you. And especially right now, temperatures are really intensive. So please, if you're a content creator, just reserve your political opinions, because I believe it can land you in trouble. I've not said I'm supporting Wajakoya, but you know, the ganja, the ganja. Yeah.
But then again, you find these are the same people that politicians are reaching out to, because they have the masses and they help shape the opinion.
Yeah.
How then do they navigate that thin line between, you know, making money from this politician that has reached out and also not compromising themselves in terms of their political affiliations with their people that they're looking to reach?
I think it's an individual responsibility as a content creator, because like I think I have a friend of mine who is doing something with the Gade, and the kind of brand, if for example, Jain, there's some certain brands that you don't want to associate yourself with, because if you do, they're going to taint your image and how people view you in the public domain.
Yes.
So if you're objective and intentional about your brand and the things you're known for, there's some certain lines or there's some certain things that you can't do. So I think if endorsing a certain political aspirant fits your brand, then good for you, use it. But if you feel like it's not good for you, even there's some, you realize there's some stations that have been branded are politicians.
We're not going to mention.
We are not going to do that for you. But just be careful. I think it's something that you rethink and rethink over and over again before you declare it out there.
Now, moving away from taking a political stand, there's also brand partnerships. You know, different companies, different organizations may also reach out to you as a young content creator. Should you always jump at every opportunity to partner with a brand? Or what do you advise young content creators to consider before partnering with a brand to just put out their content?
The first thing I think you should do is researching. Researching, and like we mentioned before, is that brand resonating with your brand? Of course, you must have boundaries, and there's some standards. I'll say a memorandum of understanding is usually very important in signing these partnerships or some sort of contract, legal contract. I remember there's a friend of mine who once had a very crazy back and forth with a company they did a gig with, and they never paid. And the reason is they never signed a memorandum of understanding. You have done a massive gig, and all of a sudden these people shut their mobile phones and you can't reach them anymore.
And this happens so much. It
happens every day to influencers out there. So ensure that if you have to endorse a product, do research and do a background check on them. And if you meet and sit down, ensure that what they're presenting to you, is it in line with what you represent as an influencer or even as a personality? And then where's the legal aspect of it? Let's sign an agreement so that if you veer off this agreement, meet me in court, literally. Meet me in court. Meet me in court.
Research is vital. Do your due diligence to find out what is this brand all about, if they resonate with the kind of content or who I am as an individual. All right. Now, there comes the other aspect of trying to get this masses on the digital platform, because you can't set up a page today and expect by the end of the week I'm going to be having 100K subscribers, 100,000 followers on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the likes. When it comes to networking, traditionally, there's a gig somewhere, you go, meet people, exchange numbers, you network. But now looking at the digital platform, how can you use it to network, to bring in the numbers, to bring in the connections?
The digital space is the easiest space because it gives you the power of accessing it whenever you want it, as compared to like even coming to KBC and requesting for Jain's number, blah, blah, blah. The digital space is easier because first, when you post content that appeals to I'll say some certain audiences or some certain people, those people will start resonating with you. They will start liking you, and they'll become your constant fans and followers. And in that time, they'll be able to reach out to you and say, hey, I think I like your content and I might want to collaborate with you and even do something else. And also, when you have massive numbers, and I'll say LinkedIn is like one of the major networking, even most hiring companies right now, they're using LinkedIn. If you're there and you've listed your bio and your resume, I think LinkedIn is some sort of like a resume kind of a social media platform.
It's a professional social platform.
You're able to reach out to HR companies and, you know, send them your bio. They'll be able to read what you've done and everything and your experience, and they might hire you, as compared to like even just like dropping your CV to KBC and waiting for them to give you a call. So I think it's easier to reach out also. Reaching out, for example, if I want to reach out to you, maybe a person is watching back at home and you want to reach out to Jain, just text her on IG, she'll definitely see it. So accessibility and reaching out is easier. So you're able to reach out to whoever you want. If you want to text Beyonce right now and tell her I like your album, you can do it on Instagram and she'll read and respond. I hope she will.
Why do people put so many hashtags under certain captions? Does it serve a purpose?
It definitely does, because hashtags are very powerful when it comes to content. To content, especially even for this show, I'm sure there's specific hashtags.
Hashtag is Good Morning Kenya.
I know, right? They're mainly targeted to create attention and visibility, and it's also some kind of like identity for that content. So hashtags, good. It's great that you mentioned it. It's very key and major. Even you personally, I'm sure you have your own hashtag. It's like your own soundtrack, right? A hashtag is a product's soundtrack. literally.
All right.
Yeah.
So they go a long way.
Yeah, so ensure that you have a hashtag for you, even for your mom.
Okay. All right. Now, this brings me to guidelines that are also on the social platforms.
Yeah.
Traditionally, even a media house has its own guidelines that regulate how we operate.
House style,
So does the social media platforms. And we see so many people saying, my account was shut down, Maras Jeff violated community guidelines. How do you, or rather, what would you advise the young folk, especially who are creating content, to look for these guidelines and know what they state, and especially when it comes to violating copyrights for maybe somebody's song and the likes?
I think the first thing, anyone who is joining social media right now, that's strange if you're joining social media right now, ensure that you read the terms and conditions of each and every app. Of course, most of us know, like, should I read all these paragraphs? It is very important to read before joining Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, even YouTube. What are some of the terms and conditions? And what are the penalties of abusing that app? If, for example, you're posting content or you're posting videos that are not required, or they should not literally be on that platform, read the terms and conditions of that app and get to understand. Because nowadays we have fallen prey to being hacked and people sharing explicit content because they have not read the terms and conditions. And some people are just, cyber criminals. They want to disrupt a network. They want to come into a system and maybe hack it.
Yes.
So that should be like one of the major things before you do. And then you mentioned about copyright. If you're using somebody's content or someone else's content that's not yours, ensure that you give them credit or at least consult them first before using it, because I've seen even YouTubers who have used somebody else's soundtrack in their intro, and the channel got suspended. A channel that had a lot of subscribers, only because you never consulted them. And some of this content right now is copyrighted. Is copyrighted, and you can't just use Jan's video and expect you will earn money from it. And ask her first. Ask her. So get permission, seek permission, follow the copyright rules.
And especially in this day and age of reposting, before you repost somebody's image or likeness of their image, you need to be careful that they do not sue you because you did not seek their consent. Now let's talk a bit about podcasts. You are a podcaster.
Literally.
And for the benefit of our viewers, just what's a podcast and what purpose do they serve in line with the position that they take in the broadcast space?
Wow, amazing question. I think a lot of people would confuse video blogging or vlogging. We call it vlogging with the podcasting. I think it's a trend. It's a trend in content creation right now, where get a microphone, get a good camera, good lighting, and good set, and start recording content that's pleasant to the people. So podcasting allows you to enjoy the audio away from the video, or it gives you the opportunity to enjoy both of them, as compared to like video vlogging where it's just video. Hey guys, welcome to my TV set. My name is Jain. So for a podcast, you're able to listen to the audio itself without like watching the visuals, or get both of them.
Okay. Now for the young folk that are watching us today, and maybe they want to join the broadcast space, the journalism space, but they are hell-bent on wanting to join a media house or a production house that, is established and it has its own gig going on. What advantages do they stand to gain with just setting up a podcast with what they have to just get them started on their broadcast journey?
Good question. That gives you the power of being your own boss, and it gives you the power of being your own host, your own producer, your own director, your own scriptwriter, as compared to like Jain. Jain has a rundown, and this is a show that has been there. So for you, you have a rundown. Being run by your producers at the gallery, shout out to you guys. But for you as a podcaster back at home, you're running your own content, your own self. So you're able to determine the kind of direction your content should take.
Yes.
So it's a major advantage. And then you're free to shoot it whenever you want it. But for as compared to this show, you must shoot it in the morning. It's literally structured and fixed. So that is the flexibility with being your own content creator, being a podcaster.
Awesome. Now, as we bring this conversation to a close, just your word of advice to everyone who is venturing on this digital platform, either to set a business or to just start their content creation journey, or even to just set up a podcast. There's your camera, shoot.
Okay, for anyone aspiring to be a content creator, you want to go into the digital space and start creating content, just start. The first thing is starting. Starting is like the biggest achievement. Once you start, you're good to go. And then also ensure that if you have a product, ensure that at least it has a target audience.
Yes.
And that is like the second thing. And then ensure that at least there's people who are supporting. Support system is very important. At least ensure that there's like 2-3 people who can be able to share your content. And if they do, definitely you'll get the numbers. And good content will always sell itself. It's an identity for it. And I think that's what I have to say. And but before that, ensure that you follow me out on my social media. By the way, I also do emceeing and moderating.
Give us a social handle so that they can get all that info there.
Okay. Shout out to last year, Amnesty chose me to moderate the Gender Youth Dialogue. Shout out to them. You can get me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's at Brian Sakwa 101 on Twitter. On Facebook, it's at Brian Sakwa. On YouTube, is at Brian Sakwa Podcast. And my Instagram is at Uncle Sakwa. If you want to book me for gigs, send me an email on sakwabrian2@gmail.com, and my number is 0717-829-615. That's my WhatsApp number, and also if you want to book me for a gig.
All right. Everything else, you will find it on his social media platforms.
Yeah.
But with that, we want to wrap up the program. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much, Jain.
We appreciate the time.
Good to meet you guys. I finally met someone I used to watch on TV for years.
We have been speaking with Brian Sakwa. He's a digital journalist, a moderator, a podcaster, as well as a voice-over artist in the content creation space. And then again, we do hope from this discussion you are better positioned to, get started in this journey if you were planning to do so. For now, thank you so much for being with us. This has been Good Morning Kenya. My name is Jain Wambui. See you tomorrow morning.